Hello, and welcome to Learning with Lorin. I'm Lorin, and in today's session, we'll be looking at talking heads and body shots. Let's start with talking head. Well, what is that? A floating head that talks? Almost. Talking head shots are videos where one person is in focus and speaks directly to the camera. So, to the viewer. Typically, the upper body or face is shown, but full body shots also count as talking heads. In that case, however, they're called body shots. Let's take a look at how to set up a seated talking head setup, just like this one here. First, camera height and position. We position the camera or the phone in such a way that the speaker's gaze goes directly into the camera. It is recommended here to use a tripod. Or, if a tripod is not available, to elevate the camera using books and folders. Please make sure that the camera is stable and does not shake when the desk is touched. Ideally, the desk and the tripod should be separate from each other. But how do I position myself in the frame? Using the grid function, tilt your phone so that your face is in the upper third of the frame. But leave a bit of space above your head. This is what's called headroom. Without enough headroom, the image looks cut off, and with too much headroom, the whole frame looks odd. As a rule, it's recommended to sit in the center of the frame so that the composition appears symmetrical. A calm and tidy background without distractions helps maintain focus. You should, however, avoid completely white walls or entirely uniform backgrounds. And if possible, you should always keep some distance from the background. On the one hand, this helps avoid shadows. On the other hand, it adds depth to the image. The whole thing looks then more aesthetic and, of course, doesn't appear claustrophobic. If I have many elements in the background, I make sure that they are, if possible, evenly distributed across the frame. This gives me a nice image composition. But what about the framing of the shot? In general, it's good to also show part of the desk so that your hands are visible if you gesture. And how about the light? The best light comes from the front, is soft and not harsh, and is neutral, so neither too cold nor too warm. But what exactly does that mean? The perfect lighting is ideally positioned in front, but not directly frontal. It should come from the side at a 45-degree angle. The light source should be optimally placed slightly above eye level and angled slightly downward. Good lighting typically means soft lighting, and soft lighting usually comes from large light sources with diffusion in front. The larger the light source, the softer and more generally flattering the light. Wrinkles and facial imperfections are even less visible with such lighting. Large area light sources include, for example, large LED panels or softboxes with a diffusion layer in front. LED panels are generally lightweight and also affordable. If you buy these kind of lights, you'll also need a light stand to better angle the light. But if you don't have LED panels or softboxes on hand, you can also use a large window with daylight. However, you need to make sure that no direct harsh sunlight shines in. In this case, curtains work quite well as a diffusion layer and help soften the light. Another good tip is to keep the light source as close as possible. Whether it's LED panels or a window, the light becomes softer the closer you are to the light source. Lastly, you need to make sure that the light source provides neutral, meaning white light, and that other light sources in the room have the same color temperature. If you mix neutral light sources with warm and cool ones, you often end up with an unflattering image. So we've covered lighting, but what about sound? Here I recommend finding a quiet room without any echo. To reduce echo, carpets, furniture, and curtains usually help because they absorb sound. So how do we record audio now? As a recording device, I recommend a wireless lavalier microphone like this one. Currently, there are various solutions on the market that can be connected directly to your phone. The placement of the lavalier microphone is also very important. A good guideline is about a hand's width away from the chin. You need, however, to make sure the microphone is facing the mouth and not pointing downward, and that no jewelry or clothing is covering it to avoid scratching or rustling noises. Now that we've covered the technical side, before we start recording, I'll let you in on a secret. It is said that the camera robs about 50% of our performance energy. To counter that, feel free to exaggerate a little. So it's more than okay to be a bit louder and more energetic than in normal speech, and using gestures is definitely a good idea too. Now let's move on to the body shots. Here too, the same basic principles for sound, lighting, and performance apply as with seated setups. Only the image composition looks just a tiny bit different here. Here as well, we should maintain the symmetry as much as possible. However, we don't place the head exactly on the upper line, but slightly above it, so that the line is at neck level. So guys, now you've seen how to shoot talking head videos and body shots. If you have any questions or need recommendations regarding the equipment mentioned, send me an email. I'm always happy to get back to you, and new topic suggestions are always very welcome. I hope you can make use of this knowledge. You can practice a little, and of course, I hope you're looking forward to the next session. I am already looking forward to it.